What's up, everybody? Spencer Lazara here in the Christmas spirit. In my house, had to show the tree. Caleb put that up last night. I'm with Nick Newell, of course, in the cold back there. Has it gotten freezing yet for you in Connecticut?
Yeah, it's pretty cold. I don't know, I just had a sweater weather today though, so it wasn't that bad. It snowed, actually snowed a little bit, but it still wasn't that cold. I'm sure if you West Coasters came here, the guys that live down south, you would think it was freezing, you need your jacket, but for me, it's fine. It's not even that bad.
Yeah. Well, I'd definitely be bundled up. So when I come visit soon, hopefully I'll be sure to be prepared. Well, we got some pretty cool fights lined up this weekend in the UFC and World Series of Fighting. You yourself have been training again, getting back in. I know you're kind of itching to get in there and fight, right? I mean, just talk to us quickly about that.
Yeah, I'm ready. I've been training. I've gotten a lot better. I had a bunch of injuries. I let them all heal, and now I feel great, and I'm ready to get back in there and make a statement. I feel like I have a lot to show, and I have a lot I want to prove. So I want to stay active, and I want to fight as much as I can. And I'm not anything but a fighter. So I mean, I'm many other things. It's not what defines me, but right now that's my main focus. So I want to fight as many times. I'll fight even 5 times this year if I could get booked. That's all I want to do. There's nothing else in my life that I really
Were
want.
you with
That I want greatness. So I'm ready to go out there and start fighting again and show how good I am.
Does it worry you that World Series hasn't been throwing a lot of shows? I mean, going into this big year where you do want to be active, do you see yourself continuing on with them, or can you comment on that?
Yeah, I don't know. That's something I can't really comment on. I like a lot. I like the guys over at World Series of Fighting. I've enjoyed my time with them. I would like to be a little more active. I would like to have been fighting on this card this weekend, but business is business, and business comes first, I guess. When it's your business, and I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to fight whoever. I don't care. So um, uh, I just want to work my way back up to the top.
Looking forward to it, man. It'll be a good year, no doubt about that here, 2015 for you. So tomorrow night we start with the Ultimate Fighter finale. Me and you have talked a lot this season watching the females on the show. I thought it was a great series and great finishing fights, especially Carla and Jessica, which was tough to watch for me. I know you know them as well, like I do, and I've known them for years, and it's just kind of tough to watch them have to fight each other like that. I thought they really went about it really well, and they seemed like their head was in it despite fighting each other, really close friends.
Yeah, I know Carla and Jessica too, and I think they're both awesome. And I've always thought that 115 was the most talented weight class for women's MMA. And it would have been cooler if they were fighting each other for the title because I like them both. But both people have the same dream, and I would fight my teammate in the same situation. It wouldn't be ideal, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Definitely. So this card starts off with somebody that you also know pretty well. It's Angela Hill versus Kagan. We talked about how good her Muay Thai is, and how you're saying you've heard that her wrestling has improved a lot. So how do you see that one sort of playing out?
Yeah, I live by New York City, and I've seen Angela fight before. She fought Muay Thai actually at this like really cool. It was like almost underground under St. Paul's Cathedral. They have like this little thing, and I saw her just school some chick, and I've heard from teammates that her wrestling has gotten a lot better. It's tough to really say your wrestling's better when you fight someone as good as Carla Esparza. In wrestling, it's kind of like, well, my wrestling got good, but I'm fighting like one of the best wrestlers out there. So it's hard to really show, but she did a decent job of defending, and I definitely think Kagan is very talented, but Angela's so good at that one thing she's good at, and I think she's gonna be able to keep it on her feet and win this fight.
Yeah, I'll go with the newcomer. Seems like she's up and coming more. Um, And then the next one, it seemed like big favorites here, Tisha and Joanne Calderwood. I mean, I'd say we agree that those are looking to go their way in their two fights. I guess, and I know you also know Felice and probably think she's going to win as well.
Yeah, I mean, Lisa Ellis is pretty good, but once again, Felice I think is just a little bit more athletic and faster, and she just moves better, and she's just a little more well-rounded. So I think that's what's gonna get her the win.
The most evenly matched fight to me is, and it shows it on the betting lines, is Jessica and Randa. Um, we talked about how Jessica's jiu-jitsu is good, just like Rose, who caught Randa. How do you see that one going?
Yeah, I mean that's a tough one. I'm sure there's a lot of things you can't factor in. I mean, the fights in the house and definitely the wear and tear of having to make weight and fight like 3 times in 3 weeks is definitely a factor, and having to make all that weight. So they could be completely different fighters than they were on the show. But I feel like Randa's strength plays right into Jessica's game, and Jessica probably has the best jiu-jitsu in the division. Um, so I think that it's going to be back and forth. They're going to both have their moments, but I could see Jessica getting the submission.
Nice. And then to the main card, or the main 4 fights there. That's on the main card. But a guy who you got a little bit of work in with, lanky, great skills, Yancy Medeiros, when we were out there in Hawaii. He's taking on Joe Proctor, an East Coast guy like you. How do you see that one going? Your weight class,
Yeah,
too.
that's a fight I'm really excited for. Joe's been in my area. His gym's probably like an hour from mine. He's an East Coast guy, and I've always liked him. He's always been a good dude. I've never gotten a chance to train with him, and I have gotten the chance to train with Yancy, and I know that he's very legit. I think Proctor is great, but and this is unbiased. This is just my opinion, just based on the fights. I feel like Yancy's height and size is going to be different. The differential. I know Proctor is kind of a big 155-pounder, but Yancy is long, and I think that his reach, and he's just going to be quicker to the punch, and he's going to win a striking match. I'd say probably a decision.
Who do you give
Proctor's
the grappling advantage to? They're both pretty good grapplers.
Yeah, Proctor has a really sick guillotine. I've seen him hit it before, very good. But I do think that Yancy is going to win this one.
Cool. And then the co-main event, Jeremy Stevens and Charles Oliveira, man, that's a cool little fight, featherweight fight. Both crafty veterans, been around a long time, had a lot of fights, especially Jeremy. He's been on a tear besides the Cub Swanson loss. Talk about that one.
Yeah, Stevens got submitted a few times early in his UFC career, not lately. I think Oliveira is one of the guys that I always get excited to watch fight. He's always a guy that I'm like, when I see he's on a card, I'm like, oh, I gotta watch this because this guy just goes crazy. He doesn't care about wrestling. He just submission. He can hit. He gave Frankie Edgar a tough time. Frankie Edgar's a beast, But the one thing I think that Stevens has is his power. He can hit you once and you're out. And his wrestling looked phenomenal against Darren Elkins. And Elkins is a good wrestler. I think that what's going to happen is Stevens is going to get in some trouble. I do think Oliveira is going to put him in some situations, but Oliveira's going to get caught with one of those shots, and I think that's going to be it.
Nice. Yeah, they should come out firing. 3-round fight. I gotta go with Jeremy on that. I just think, like you said, he hits too hard, and he's crafty enough to avoid, I think, the grappling and submission game of Oliveira, and his base has gotten a lot better working with everybody down there at Alliance. Main event, Esparza and Rose, Doug Rose, man, this is going to be a really good fight. number one and well, I think Rose was maybe 3 or 4 in her pick, but I mean, going in, this was the number 1 and 2. Um, Great fight, grappler versus wrestler, sort of. I see a little bit of an advantage to Rose standing, although I was very impressed with Carla's striking against Jessica. I did not expect her to do as well in that department in that fight. So she really impressed me. She's been doing great things with Ian and Colin Oyama down there at Team Oyama's, obviously on her striking. I know she's been working a lot of submission defense with Jiva as well, because Rose is so quick at fishing for these submissions as soon as fights hit the ground. Like right off the takedown, she's in it. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean that's a tough fight. Rose is just so good. She's so nasty. She's ruthless. She grabs something, she doesn't care. She'll rip your arm off. I feel like if they fought on the show, that Rose would have won. But she's someone that you have to prepare for. She's someone that just comes with crazy stuff that not a lot of other people can do, and you need time to get ready for that. And if you asked me who would win too after Carla versus Tisha, I would have said probably Rose. But then seeing her versus Jessica and her in and out footwork and how hard she hits, I think she does good enough. Standing, definitely doesn't get blown out of the water, and then comes in, hits a couple combos, and then as soon as Rose starts to get comfortable and get a rhythm, takedown, defends a couple submissions, lands some couple shots, lets her back up on the feet, and
rinse and repeat.
Yeah, rinse and repeat. And I feel like Rose is going to do great, and it's going to come down. I really think like this is a fight that you're going to be like, oh, whoever wins, you're going to be pissed because you thought the other person won. But I mean, I'm a little biased because I've known Carla for a long time, but I really think that the advantage of she can choose where the fight takes place is going to make the difference, and the fact that she's had time to prepare for Rose.
One thing I noticed in the Jessica fight, I thought Jessica should have kicked a little more. She was really leaning down, avoiding the jab, coming back with right hands over the top, and I really expected Jessica to throw a little more kicks. I think Rose will do that. More knees, kicks, and just be, like you said, a little more wild with the striking and create scrambles, create, chaos in there a little bit. And in a 5-round fight, I just, I think it's a tough thing for Carla to have to do is deal with all that for 5 rounds. She's so calm in there. I feel like she seems like she can fight forever.
Yeah, I mean, one thing is that she just doesn't care if you take her down, so she'll just come at you. She'll be throwing Shawn Michaels side kicks and going for flying arm bars and, like, crazy stuff. She's, like, so entertaining. I love watching her fight. And, that makes her very dangerous.
Yep, definitely a good fight there. You got to watch that one on Fox Sports tomorrow night. Then Saturday night is another cool UFC card. There's also a World Series card going on, so I guess we'll just touch on those two title fights first. Fitch and Paul Harris is the main event. I mean, I've been training a little bit with John out here. He's really impressed me doing some of his wrestling classes. I'm just blown away. When I was training for my thing, and it's just amazing to see a guy like that. It gave me even more respect than I already had for a guy like that. Can he stop the submissions, the leg locks of Paul Harris and get a victory?
That's tough, man. Paul Harris is just a monster. His wrestling's good. His striking's actually pretty good. He's just afraid to use it as much as he should. And John Fitch, has been submitted by Josh Parkman, but I think that was because he got hurt standing. It's a really tough fight. I definitely wouldn't bet on it. If I did, I guess I'd say Paul Harris would get him in a leg lock. But I mean, Fitch has probably been training leg lock defense. But when you're going against one of the best guys in the world, it's kind of hard. But then one thing Paul Harris does is he does leave himself open when he goes for these submissions. That's why, Alan Belcher was able to knock him out, and Nate Marquardt was able to knock him out. So he leaves himself open. So if Fitch could have learned from those fights, then he's going to win. But, Paul Harris has been on a tear, so he's got to be the favorite.
Yeah, they're about even on the betting lines at the sports books, and I mean I have to see it about that way. If it's all about if Fitch can avoid a submission. If he does, he wins. I mean, pretty much. I don't see him getting rocked standing or anything really. He's been training here at One Kicks with Cheaty, and Josh and everybody there, and I mean he's just. I think he's going to look to smash though. I don't think he's going to fear the ground. I don't. I think he's going to actually invite it in certain on his terms, but invite the ground game and just do his normal smash style, which I think can work like Belcher did. And then the other one is Lance Palmer and Rick Glenn. Interesting fight. I was surprised Rick Glenn beat Georgie. There was an injury in that fight, but Lance is a really good wrestler. Can he, take down Glenn and stay on top for 5 rounds? I mean, that's the question. How's his cardio going to play out? Glenn has good jiu-jitsu. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Glenn's win against Georgie was impressive. Injury or not, he still looked phenomenal, and he had great composure on the ground when he was caught in a submission. He was able to escape, get on top, and he's just so long that if he gets on top of you, you can put your legs on him, and his arms are longer than your legs. He's a very big 45 pounder, but I feel like Lance is still very green at MMA, and every time you see him, he's a lot better, and he's learned something.
Yep.
And I think it's going to be pressure with the takedowns, and I think Lance is going to just spend most of the fight on top. I'm sure Glenn will probably hit him a couple times, and he'll say, "Ooh, that was a hard shot," or like he'll come close to like getting him in a submission or something like that. But Palmer's going to land some ground and pound, and I think mostly cruise to a unanimous decision.
Nice. Looking forward to that one. Lance is definitely a prospect here in the sport, and like you said, always getting better every fight. The UFC Fight Night Saturday in Phoenix, Arizona. This is a cool card. I really like the undercard. There's a lot going on here. You've got a #1 contender in the females for the winner of Friday night's championship. We've got a guy who I know, Willie Gates, who people don't know, fighting John Moraga, a flyweight fight. The guy's got good hands. He'll be a heavy underdog. My
Is that
real
Whoop Ass
picks
Willie?
as a better. What's that?
Whoop Ass Willie?
What's that?
Isn't that guy's name
Yeah,
Whoop
real fast Willie.
Ass?
He whooped my ass before, and I was impressed, man. Not that I'm any good, but he's just got really good movement. I think his speed, I think he can get him that fight. He's going to be a big underdog. But my big betting plays on this one are Ben Saunders over Joe Riggs and Derek Brunson over Herman. I like that as a parlay. I like to look at these lines and kind of give my thoughts on them. Being out here in Vegas, especially, I think Saunders is a really good fighter. You didn't agree that I said I thought he was top 15 maybe in the world, and I think he has going to prove that this year in the UFC. And Brunson over Ed Herman, he's just too athletic. I mean, he's won every fight except the Yoel Romero fight lately, and that fight he was smashing him till he got a broken jaw. So those two are really interesting fights for me to look at. But moving on to the main card.
Yeah,
I think.
I think
Go ahead.
I agree with you on both those fights. I do think both those guys are going to win, and I do think I think both are phenomenal fighters, and Ben Saunders could be one of the top guys in the world. He's back in the UFC and he's fighting Joe Riggs, who's on a tear. I do think he's going to win, and he definitely has a lot of potential, and he's great stand up and great grappling. So we'll see.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. I see tie clinch or submission out of that one from Ben Saunders and Derek Brunson, whatever he wants. I feel like Alistair Overeem and Stefan Struve, man, this is a cool heavyweight fight. Who do you see winning that one?
It's a very interesting fight to me. Both guys have been knocked out a lot, a lot, but both guys can also knock you out with one punch. So that's always very entertaining. The thing that always impressed me most about Alistair Overeem was his ground game, his top control and his ground and pound, and his guillotines are sick. And a lot of people say he's a striker, but to me, I think if he fought a little bit more like a grappler, he'd have a lot better career because he's dirty on top. But then you have Struve, who's just always going for submissions, and is probably one of the better guys from his guard in the heavyweight division. Think we're going to see some exchanges. I don't think this one's going to end early. I think it's going to go late. And I see Struve catching him late in the fight with his length.
Definitely, the longer the fight goes, you have to feel like Struve. He has so many skills, and just Alistair's cardio has always sort of been a question mark. So yeah, I mean, I tend to agree that if it goes longer, it's Struve, but Overeem can get him if he can get him early. That'd be crazy. It's interesting to think both guys have taken a lot of knockouts lately, but Struve has had like this couple of years off to kind of get his brain right, his head right, I think, and I wonder if that'll play into it, his ability to take a big shot. And definitely Alistair hits harder, but Struve also throws really good jabs and good punches, so what a great fight that's going to be. I don't know. Part of me wants to say Overeem, but I've always liked him, but I don't know. That's just a toss-up. I see it ending early, though. I see a first-round finish. But if Struve can survive the onslaught, he takes it, I think. I agree with you there. Nate Diaz and Dos Anjos. This is a great lightweight fight. It's hard to go against Nate, but, man, Dos Anjos has done so much lately in all parts of his game. His Muay Thai's looked great. He beat Cowboy. His ground game is phenomenal. I've seen it firsthand over there at Kings as well as, of course, in the Octagon. Who's going to win this one in Nate's return?
Yeah, they said, he beat Cowboy, but Nate Diaz also beat Cowboy too. I mean, I know that was a while ago, but he still beat him. The difference maker is they both fought Ben Henderson, and Dos Anjos won, and Nate Diaz lost. But I feel like stylistically, this is a good matchup for Diaz. I know Dos Anjos is pretty sick on the ground, but so is Diaz. The thing you just got to worry about is Dos Anjos going to be able to control Diaz, which has been kind of his kryptonite, getting taken down and controlled. Has been something he's not so good getting off his back, and Dos Anjos has shown good wrestling, but and they've both shown good striking, but I feel like Nate is the better striker, and it's going to be a very close fight, and he's going to come away with a decision.
The 3-round fight, I feel like, leans slightly towards Dos Anjos. If it was a 5-round fight, had this been a main event, I would lean towards Diaz because he just has more chances to put that pressure to work. If Dos Anjos uses kicks well and, like you said, wrestles, I feel like he can grind out a victory. I don't think either guy can sub either guy. I think they're both just too good. But if you get locked in a triangle from Nate, the fight's pretty much done. So, you never know, I guess. Man, that's a tough one to call. I can't call it. I gotta lean just slightly towards Dos Anjos due to the wrestling that he's been working really hard on with the guys out there in Huntington Beach. Main event: Dos Santos and Miocic. This is a cool one. Miocic is an underdog in this fight. I'm gonna look how much now. Actually, I'm kind of curious, but give us your thoughts in the meantime on that heavyweight scrap.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Miocic won. He's got great footwork. His hands are phenomenal, and he's got a good wrestling base. He's got a good double leg. I feel like the key to winning would be using that in this fight. But Dos Anjos is just such a beast, and it takes someone like Cain Velasquez who can just wear you down and cardio pressure on him to beat him. And I don't know if Miocic has that in him, that grinding style. So I'm going to have to go with Dos Santos.
Dos Santos is actually a huge favorite. Wow, I did not expect that. He's a 4-1 favorite over Miocic. And I got to give Miocic a better chance at winning than that, that's a crazy line. I did not think it would be quite that high. And Dos Anjos is a more than 2-1 favorite over Nate Diaz. When have you seen Nate as a 2-1 dog? It's been not even in the Benson fight. Wow. Interesting stuff. Well, cool, man. It's been good breaking down the fights with you, and looking forward to your 2015 year, wherever you end up fighting in. And yeah, stay warm out there.
Thanks, man.
Anything else you got for us? Or bid
Uh,
everybody a farewell?
yeah, thanks everyone for listening. I hope you liked my picks. And I'm looking forward to a good weekend of fights.
Definitely going to be a good one. We will be watching, and we'll see how our breakdowns play out there, and we'll see where we were right and wrong. Maybe we'll get on there next week and do another one and talk about that, as well as the next card, which I think is December 18th, 19th, something like that, with Machida. So thanks for the time, Nick. I know it's late there, and we'll talk to you soon, everybody.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas. Later, brother.
Happy Festivus.